fade tonight. All kinships went aside. A spark ignites. Are you so tired of life? After 14 years alive.
Here we are, another episode of Beautiful Podcast coming at you. I am reaching across to the UK today, and I have SHOPFIRES, Neil Hill from SHOPFIRES, and also from New Clouds. Neil is this multi-artist who has two bands, or two projects that he works on. SHOPFIRES is the one that we're going to talk about mostly because he has a new record coming out called We Are Not There, But We Are Here, out on Jangle Pop come July 1st. Which is an outstanding record. I got the fortune of listening to it. I'm still listening to it. So, Neil, thanks so much for hopping on here and joining us for a little chat about you and what you do.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for the invite.
So, Neil, before we kind of jump into the nuts and bolts of your music and how you make it and distribute it and play it and create it, where did music start to hum for you in your life? What were some moments in your past where you started to realize music had to be something that you were going to be doing for your person?
Well, strangely, music didn't really have much of an impact in my younger life. I didn't really have music in the household particularly. Neither my parents were big listeners to music. I have an elder sister who didn't really listen to much music. There weren't records around or tapes or things in the house. I was always kind of envious of the people I knew and friends who had access to parents' record collections,
Right.
Either good nor bad record collections. I didn't have either of those. So it's a strange one, that. I'm not sure where it came from in my younger years.
But when did you start listening to music that you could decide upon yourself, and you didn't have to rely on family tastes or music or records, but you could actually go and turn the radio on or whatever? How did you start to expose yourself to music?
Yeah, I guess like most kids growing up in the UK in the kind of 80s, late 70s, early 80s, and stuff. You'd be watching Top of the Pops, I guess, and you'd be exposed to stuff like that. And I guess back in those days, there was more variety of music on those programs than, well, those programs don't exist anymore, but it seems less variety now when you look at a music program. And I think, I mean, I have to point my finger, like most people will point their finger at, is I think the person responsible for my music taste is probably John Peel.
Well, yeah,
and you probably get that quite a lot.
Yeah. He was very prolific, and the fact that he kind of had a great vision of music and who could, spark his creativity as well, and his sense of wanting to collaborate with. I mean, he collaborated with such amazing artists.
Yeah, I mean, I used to be obsessed during. I mean, it's probably my first musical obsession would have been John Peel sessions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I kind of was a bit too young for punk, and I never really kind of went back to punk. Punk didn't really do it for me, unfortunately. I know it was, probably a necessary intervention in the musical universe, but I was more kind of taken by post-punk and the stuff that came after punk, which to me seemed more interesting. And it still followed the kind of the idea that you didn't necessarily need to know how to play; you could still just make a noise. And I found it a little bit more experimental, a bit more interesting, a bit more challenging. It could be equally as chaotic and noisy as it was melodic and interesting. And I used to kind of tape Peel sessions and listen to them back, probably all the way through the early 80s, well, pretty much the whole of the 80s. I probably had every John Peel session on tape somewhere in the house, which I would go back to and listen to. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess early 80s post-punk going into the stuff in the mid 80s. The band that really, if I have to focus on one band at that particular time, the band that kind of and again, I guess it must have been John Peel where I heard them first, would have been the Scottish band Associates,
Hmm.
Willie Mackenzie and Alan Rankin.
Right.
And strangely, I kind of got into them probably through their most weirdest phase, which would have been their Situation 2 records that they put out,
Mm-hmm.
which would have been like Kitchen Person, Message Oblique Speech, Q Quarters, White Car in Germany, all of that.
Mm.
And they all sounded completely different, all
Right.
completely bonkers.
Hmm.
And I thought, wow, you can do that and get played. It's great. And I thought,
That's cool.
is that the way in? Just to make it a nonsense noise and have people listen to it. So I probably was into that kind of stuff first, the
Sure.
the oddball kind of left field stuff.
Right, right. What was it about it? Like, was it just that experimental, you never kind of knew what to expect, aesthetic to it that you would appealed to you the most about what they were making?
I guess so. I mean, it's not saying I didn't listen to other stuff as well.
Sure.
It's just that I don't know. I just found it something beguiling about the fact that these people were just making seemingly just random noises, and songs were kind of coming out of that noise. And obviously, if you dig deep into the noise and the chaos, there'd be a melody, there'd be a tune in there probably, and
Right.
and stuff. But I just like the idea of stuff seemingly appearing from nowhere, but it wasn't. It was there all along, and
Hmm.
that kind of appealed to me.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And then when did you say, okay, I'm jumping in the pool, I want in? I had read something where you were carrying around old banged up Mac and a guitar and recording where you could. And can you tell us about your early experiences when you first started to pen your own material?
I've kind of quite a fragmented kind of musical history in a way, I guess.
Mhm.
I didn't really pick up the guitar probably till late teens, early 20s. I was in a couple of bands during sixth form college, which were pretty useless. There was one moment where I thought, oh, this sounds half decent.
Mm.
When I was kind of left and got my first job, and got together with a few people where I worked, and we used to it's quite amusing. We used to practice in an old school music room, which was both kind of influential and distracting, because we'd had all these instruments around us, and rather than stick to what we were playing, we'd just mess about with all the things that were in the room, which kind of added to the experimental nature of the music. But at that point, I was actually more into. I think I'd come out of my experimental kind of yearning and decided to go a little bit more melodic and get some tunes going.
Right.
And so I started playing guitar with the intent of creating almost proper songs, I guess. And all we had was just me on an acoustic guitar, a drummer. We didn't even have a bass player. At one point, the drummer's sister turned up playing the trumpet, which seemed a bit. I guess we sounded a little bit like, if I don't know if you're familiar with the band Rumblefish, who came from Birmingham.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, they were signed to Pink Label, I think.
Right.
And their first EP, that Tugboat Line, where, well, perhaps not that song, but the other tracks on that EP, where it was just like an acoustic guitar, drums, and a trumpet.
Mm-hmm.
And it was almost that. That's kind of what we sounded like a little bit at the time.
Fun.
So, but beyond that, that kind of didn't last very long.
Right.
I kind of ended up being on my own, messing about. I had a 4-track at home. I've got a drum machine. I just made up, little silly songs, and nothing really happened with that. It wasn't until much later, really, very late. I had kind of a break for almost like 10, 15 years without playing a single note.
Wow.
And then I started.
What? Whoa. What prompted all that? Like, I mean, I imagine life just, life happens.
Yeah.
Was that a conscious thing that you had decided, like, okay, I'm kind of done with that for now? Like, were you thinking that, okay, I'm done, or were you thinking I need a break?
Probably at the time, I probably felt I was done. I felt like I'd missed the boat somewhere, that I probably should have done something better than I had been doing, concentrated a bit more,
Well,
been a bit more committed. I was none of those things at the time.
right,
And it
right.
wasn't until it was kind of around, well, it was actually pre-COVID pandemic, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of set about, I went out and bought a cheap laptop. As my old tagline on the Bandcamp page used to say, DIY pop recorded directly into a cheap laptop,
Right.
which is pretty much bang on, really, because that's how it was.
Hmm.
I bought a cheap laptop. I bought a MIDI keyboard. I still had the same acoustic. Well, I still have the same acoustic guitar that I had in the 80s. It's the instrument. It's the guitar that's all over all over the songs.
Nice.
I use one guitar. I don't use any other guitar. It's just that one acoustic guitar.
Wow.
So that's still with me.
That's amazing. Can I ask what kind of guitar that is? Like what?
It's a cheap, nasty guitar. It's a Hohner guitar. I think it was about £25 back in the 80s.
Wow.
And
So
I don't
cool.
think it's gone up in value at all, because it was mass produced thing. Obviously, people. I mean, there may well be fewer of them because it was mass produced, and people probably look after them. So maybe it's worth a little more these days. But it's perfect for what I do, and I didn't.
Sounds amazing. Sounds
My own kind of doctrine for the old point was I wanted to make music for as cheap as possible with the least amount of instruments. That was my aim.
Okay. Now, was that mindset established during COVID when you were alluding to that COVID brought you back into the mix? Like, was that just just because you had sheer time on your hands, or were you kind of longing still for an outlet, an artistic outlet?
Yeah, kind of both of those things, really. It was kind of pre-COVID where I started to mess about, and I didn't even play the guitar at that point. We're talking probably like 2016, 2017, I guess.
Right.
I messed about with doing like ambient classical loops. I concocted these strange fake TV themes and wrote whole synopses for fake TV programs, just to kind of do something creative and kind of get it out there.
Right.
It wasn't until kind of late 2000s, probably 2018, 2019, where I thought, now I've got this. And when I got my head around what I was doing with the technology, because I was limited by my own ability to play and also my own technological ability to actually know what I was doing. So I thought, within those constraints, I thought, what can I do with this? And I initially just was going to do instrumentals. I thought, I'm not going to sing on any of these things. I'm just going to do instrumentals. I wasn't comfortable doing the singing. I didn't really particularly want to write lyrics. I thought, no, I'll just stick to instrumentals. But then late kind of 23, coming up to 2023, I had an operation on my spine. I had a spinal operation. And I was laid off work for about 6 months. In recovery, and it was that point actually where I decided I think I should start singing now. So I'd had these backing tracks done, which I'd done, which were going to be instrumentals, and I thought, well, let's just write some words and see what happens. Let's see what. And I'd got plenty of time on my hands. I was home. I was recovering from surgery. I'd got the house to myself pretty much, so I could. Sing as loud as I liked or as out of tune as I liked. and I just put together the track Summer Bruises, which was the first thing I put out on Bandcamp.
Right. And that was the first song that as SHOPFIRES that you put down on tape was
technically it was In a Place We Find Ourselves was actually probably the first song I did, which I released both of those tracks at the same time for some reason. I don't know why, but I thought I'd put them both out. But it was Summer Bruises that people seem to catch on to.
Such a good song. Like, I'm amazed that's your first foray into SHOPFIRES. That was, because I mean it's a very complete song, very sophisticated. Your vocals are great, and
that's what people said. They said it. I mean, when I got contacted from Darren, who runs Subjangle, who puts the CDs out.
Yeah.
Even in the review for that particular track said, seemingly comes from nowhere, fully formed in a way. And,
Right. Totally.
and I thought,
Totally.
well, yeah, I get it, but
Hmm.
it didn't feel that to me. I felt like I, I think more by luck than judgment is how that track came together. I think
Okay.
I always consider myself more of a, I guess, an accidental music maker than a musician. I kind of mess about a lot and stuff comes out, and I'm lucky that a lot of the time it sounds, I guess, half decent in a
Well,
way.
I mean, if we just go and look at your Bandcamp page, like, I mean, since 2023, the end of 2023, that's when Summer Bruises were released, December 2023.
Yeah,
You have so many songs now and EPs and singles that you've put out under Shopfires. Plus,
yeah,
I noticed too that you also have New Clouds, which is another
yeah.
side project that you have, again, with tons of tunes. So my question here, Neil, is are these songs like speckled from across even the period of time you weren't kind of writing, or does all of this come within the last, post-COVID, the production level of all the songs that you have put out?
Um, Pretty much everything, the shop fires and the new clouds, or Noi clouds as some people pronounce it.
Noise Clouds.
Yeah, it all happened in 20. They've all been done in 2024. There's nothing that's come from my past. That's all done
Jeez,
in 2024.
that's amazing. And like, how do these come to you? Like, what's your process for putting a song down? Like, how do you know when this song is something I'd like to keep and keep working on, as opposed to a song that you're like, or do they all make it through? Like, I'm just thinking about time and the production level, the recording of all these things. I mean, this takes time. Um, what's your process for putting a song together? What do you do?
It does take time, and I seemingly have very little time. I have to snatch time here and there. Obviously, I work full time. I've got children, family commitments.
Yeah, totally.
So I do snatch time here and there, like half an hour here and there. I try to do something every day,
Mm-hmm.
if I can.
Yep.
Uh, the shot fires and the new clouds are two separate, kind of obviously intentionally separate entities.
Right. Right.
Shot fires is my home, and New Clouds is my vacation band, if you like. So I kind of the Shot Fires tunes. I probably have on my laptop probably over 100 songs that have
Wow.
not that have probably not even been released, or probably will never be released, I guess, or at least work in progress or snatches
Right.
of ideas and things.
Right.
I rarely go back to them, although I've occasionally go back to them. I probably need to delete a few and create a bit more space on my laptop. Um, so the shot fires thing is I have a kind of a process with shot fires,
Hmm.
and it kind of developed by accident with me messing around with a couple of post-production things on the laptop, or the DAW that I use.
Right.
But
Right.
most of the shot fire songs are pretty much drenched in delay and reverb, so to create that kind of jingly jangly kind of
Yeah. Totally.
repetitive sound.
Yep.
My only thing about particularly the earlier shot fires, less so on the new songs, there's a lot of stuff going on in each song. I kind of think there's probably 4 songs in each song
Mm.
sometimes. A lot of the
Yeah.
songs have like 3 or 4 melodies playing all at the same time.
I was going to mention that too, because they're not like one line. There's like the line over here in the right, the one in the left, and then the one that kind of like plays around between the two.
Yeah,
Like there's multiple, and you were saying all those are through an acoustic guitar as well.
yeah, it's all played on the same guitar, one guitar,
Amazing. It's so
all played
cool,
on the.
Neil.
I mean,
That's amazing.
I
Wow.
might add a couple of post
Sure.
effects,
Sure.
but not much. I try not to mess about with it too much. My whole
Yeah.
kind of idea was to do it fairly quickly, fairly simply,
Right.
and I
Right.
think subconsciously maybe part of the reason why there is multiple melodies on those earlier tunes was maybe to maybe I wasn't so confident on the one melody, so I thought, I'll tell you what, I'll add another one. Oh, okay, the second one sounds good, but maybe I think I'll add a third just in case people not that keen on the first two. And it's it can get a bit muddy, and I was conscious of that, of the
Mm.
too much going on, and
Yeah.
people not actually hearing anything because it just became a big massive noise. But I think I've managed to balance it just enough where it
Totally.
kind of works, with all these melodies kind of interplaying with each other. So
Yeah, I think it's really
I think I've
brilliant
got
how
away
you do
with
that.
it.
Yeah. And it's not like you're, it's no like Eddie Vedder like lines and solo, but it's these beautiful little lines that interplay with one another as and weave in and out of your lyrical play as well. It's
Yeah, it's
such a
about the
beautiful sound that you created, Neil. Like it's
yeah,
really, really impressive.
it's repetition basically is what it
Yeah,
is. It's repetition.
right.
I'm a big fan of repetition. There's a lot of repetition goes on in my songs. If people have a deep listen, you'll see a lot of things just it's basically the same notes and the same tunes playing over and over again, but
Right.
it's disguised or kind of blended in with lots of other stuff going on. Where
Right.
you're probably not even aware that bass line that's in the song is the same bass line that runs through the whole of the song and it doesn't change once. But you're probably not.
So you loop
Yeah,
them sometimes, like just you'll have a loop of a
yeah,
sequence of yeah.
yeah. I mean, mostly. I mean, to promise, I'd probably say about 90% of the bass lines in all of the songs are just the same bass line all the way through from start to finish.
Well,
But because
well,
and you're probably not even aware of it sometimes until you actually focus on it. That's what it is.
yeah, because I think some of the lines also get muddied with the bass line as well, right? They interplay, so
Yeah,
you got to have a close listen. Like I listened to it with the headphones on, and I was able to pick out things a little bit better because you can differentiate between your left and right,
yeah.
as opposed to if it's on a stereo in kind of an open area. Um, it's just so. I wanted to ask you though. So this new record coming out, we are not there, but we're here. How did you go through the same process as you typically went through with the rest of the recordings that you've been doing? Like, does it follow the formula or the style of previous Shop Fires? Or did you try something different or try writing techniques that were different or yeah. I mean, is there any differences that you consciously made in the record that's coming out in July?
Uh, yes and no, in respect that I was consciously aware of doing it. I kind of wanted this to be less melody in it, strangely.
Hmm.
Although
Hmm.
obviously the singles are quite over kind of melody strong
Yeah.
going on, but
Yeah.
the other tracks I tried to, I don't know, strip it back a little bit more. Maybe
Hmm.
focus on one melody, two melodies rather than three or four.
Hmm. Hmm.
And just to see whether the song still stood up without all that extra um, kind of stuff going on in the background. I kind of guess the earlier songs I was kind of maybe lacked confidence that the songs were good enough, so I kind of disguised it with lots of stuff going on, so people had something to listen to, even if they weren't listening to the whole thing.
Yeah.
Whereas I guess the new album is more song based than
Hmm.
I had kind of like an idea behind this one, whereas the other ones, I'm not saying the other ones were collections of songs. They do go together, but
Sure. Sure.
the new one, I felt I had a bit of a more of a theme
Yeah.
going on, so I kind of wanted to stay within that and not kind of overplay it a little bit. I guess I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
A couple of tracks on there which maybe not typically shot fire sounding. I think Beware of Oncoming Traffic, I've kind of slowed it down a bit. There's no drums on it. I've
Yeah.
kind of cut out a lot of the extra melody lines. The final track, like on the Ramparts, is a bit different.
Right.
But it's
Right.
still Shop Fires.
Totally. But yeah, I it feels more mature in my, listening back to, and I mean mature in the sense that I feel like you're mentioning, it really feels like a whole. And again, not like your others didn't. I mean, I really love like. Let me just get the name right. Holding On to Let Go. I mean, what a record that is. Your first self-titled Shop Fires too. I mean, just
Thank you.
I mean, so beautiful. But it does sound like you've had a history with Shop Fires, right? And you've been working on this evolution of your sound. And it really comes through in this latest record that's coming out in the summer.
Yeah, I guess there is a more grown-up kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
Not, yeah. I mean, that was kind of partly intentional, I think,
Hmm.
on my part. That I kind of felt like, not that I want to make a serious record as such, but I felt like, yeah, mature is probably the right word. I think it is slightly more together than the
Yeah.
previous.
Yeah, I think it's very thoughtful. I mean, as you are. I mean, talking to you, you're a very thoughtful person. You're a great storyteller too. I'll throw that in there. I'm glad you're writing songs again.
Thank you.
Or that you came back to. So kind of to bring things to a wrap here, Neil. Thanks again for hopping on and sharing some of your day with me here.
Thank you.
What does 2025 look like for SHOPFIRES? Where the record comes out July 1st, and are there any plans for any shows or follow-up records, or is there anything that you could share with us?
Shows would be pretty awkward. The way I make the records would be very difficult to replicate in a live format.
Particularly alone, right? I imagine.
Well, yeah, it would be just me and a laptop. Not the most entertaining night out, I would have thought. I mean, I'll never say never. I don't think you should always say that would never happen. I've been asked a few times to support other bands, and I've kind of politely declined at the moment. So I can't see that happening anytime soon. The next thing on the horizon, I guess, SHOPFIRES on a slight break regarding recording new stuff. There is more new clouds on the horizon.
Cool.
There is talk of a compilation album coming out probably later in the year, of the tracks that have already been issued, and probably a few new ones to make it slightly worthwhile, because of the whole idea of new clouds was that it was going to be songs under 2 minutes.
Okay.
The initial idea was I every 2 weeks I would write a song under 2 minutes, which is my challenge to myself, which I did for about the first 9 tracks, and then I had to switch to SHOPFIRES to finish this album, so I didn't kind of carry on that way. So
I love that idea, though. That's cool.
I'm going back to New Clouds shortly, and there will be new stuff coming out with those, and like I say, potentially a compilation album coming out at some point, or CD coming out at some point, and towards the end of the year. Yeah, I guess after that I'll probably pop back into SHOPFIRES and see what happens there. But I'm just happy to see what the feedback is on the new album. I've had quite a lot of nice comments so far, so I'm quite happy with the feedback I've been getting for the new one. So yeah,
totally. Well, I'll reinforce that positive loving of this record. I'm so happy I got to listen to it fully before we talked too, because it's just such a great record. I'm really excited for the world to hear it, and I wish you all the best with it, Neil. And please don't take any more 15-year breaks. I'll accept 2 years, 3 years, but the prolificness of your songwriting has just been inspiring to me. That so many ideas can be stored up in one single mind, and that it's in the ether. Like you put it out there. I love that.
I'm kind of hoping that 2024 wasn't just like my purple patch and that's it. It's done.
Right.
I hope there's more to come. Like I said, I've got plenty of stuff on the laptop, but I always like to start from fresh. So hopefully there'll be new stuff. Yeah.
Well, I mean, looking at the pre-order page on Bandcamp, it seems like there's a ton of people interested in this record. They're excited to get it. So, I mean, many people have already bought it. It's only coming out in a month, over a month still. So there seems to be a great energy behind this record. So I wish you all the best with that. And if ever you want to hop back on and share some new music, or you want to talk again, I would be just floored to have you back, Neil. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you.
Oh, that's great, Chris. Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed.
underneath the harsh light. We always wonder why this thing never feels right.